The Jacksonville Jaguars' approach to free agency has been as interesting a strategy as we've seen league wide. To not send any representation of the NFL Combine, to go into a free agency with cap space along the lines of just $5.4 million, to relatively stay as inactive as they have coming off such a growth season under GM James Gladstone and head coach Liam Cohen. Was glad to at least see them bring in a new addition here in the last day or two right before this video. And that's starting with running back Chris Rodriguez Jr. for 2 years, $10 million from the Washington Commanders. There's familiarity there as far as Rodriguez played for Liam Cohen at Kentucky. For him to come in as the response as the number 2 behind Bashal Tutin after the exit of Travis A-Chain, as he's told us now. You probably better know him as Travis Etienne, headed to the Saints. That answers the fact that even with these multiple draft picks that the Jaguars do have, they don't intend on using that as far as the NFL draft. If I had done this video before the Rodriguez edition, I'd have probably been looking at around this 5th rounder to add somebody as the 2 behind Tutin with his real speed profile, low 4.3s out of the former Virginia Tech running back. I think this was a perfect fit for Rodriguez, particularly looking at his ability at the goal line, real strong back, and that being the addition. And there's a few depth retention. DJ Dallas is another running back, more along the 3. Quentin Morris, Dennis Gardeck, and so on. As far as the big retention that they had in extending Montaric Brown at that corner spot, 3 years, $33 million. I would throw it back quickly as far as Rodriguez. 4.6 yards per carry and 10 touchdowns in his times with Washington. That was an opportunity letting A-Chain walk to be cost effective in this team. You know, for Brown as a 7th round pick out of Arkansas to get an $11 million a year deal in a secondary that's going to see a lot more of Travis Hunter taking more snaps there versus receiver. With a lot of draft picks, that seemed like a no-brainer and one they were passionate about. And as far as exits, we already mentioned Travis A-Chain, ETN. Quickly mentioned Greg Newsome, who came over in that Tyson Campbell trade with the Browns at a corner spot, quickly leaves town and heads with John Harbaugh and the Giants. That wasn't super surprising. But the big one is undoubtedly Pro Bowler Devin Lloyd at that linebacker spot. I thought that 3-year, $45 million price point for the Panthers was phenomenal. That was one that kind of made you really question, going back to what I said on the plans and intentions of this Jags regime. I'm so excited to see their response as far as the linebacker room. I had to transition very quickly into looking at what are some of the draft needs, and understand there will be another wave of free agents. But knowing what we know now, this being a relatively slow-paced pre-draft and free agency for the Jags, I see the needs as interior defensive line. Anyone watching this video with an interest in the Jaguars knows that one, really aging in that group with 30 plus and needing some young talent. Would mention another corner as well, even with the extension, even with more of the Travis Hunter, the exit of Greg Newsome, another body would be appreciated. And interior offensive lineman, while you have found that left tackle spot, have a great swing in Walker Little, and then at right tackle Anton Harrison, getting someone to shore up that core interior under Trevor Lawrence, particularly with some versatility, could be much appreciated. And lastly, like I said, a linebacker in response to that Devin Lloyd move. No first-round pick, traded that to move from 5 to 2 with the Browns. Been a little bit of activity with Cleveland. To go and get Hunter at number 2 last year. So at 56th overall, the way the board fell, if you were going to go get a corner to expect big snaps out of, I thought it was best to go here. Went with Arizona State corner Keith Abney II. The coolest factoid of this entire pre-draft process is the fact that Keith Abney is a 4-time speed skating, roller skating champion from his youth. And that translates to his game, his ankle flexion, lower body balance, stays low and tackles well. 7% missed tackle rate in his career. That is a very good number, anything sub 10. 26 starts, showed you 6 interceptions at 5'10", 187. I know there were some people, he was listed at 6 feet, came in at 5'10". For his stocky build and all the production he has shown you going into athletic testing, that can even statistically be matched. I allowed a career 46.1 passer rating. That was in the top 5 of FBS corners over that time, to number 81. Strong safety class. I thought, as far as getting a difference maker and before a tier drop off here, it was worth having Penn State safety Shaquille Wheatley. Wheatley's one of my favorites in that group. 222 tackles in his career, 2 forced fumbles, 6 interceptions, runs the alley very, very well coming downhill. You're talking about somebody 6'2", 200 pounds. From my time up close, field level at the Senior Bowl, I can tell you he is so proportionally built, does not look thin by any means. If I had to eyeball test him, I'd have thought he was 205, 207, 208. Just so much fluidity and oily hips, athletic. Those Penn State players are as well coached as anyone in the country coming into the draft, in my opinion. To add him with Abney into the secondary that already does have talent. Again, Abney you got right at a drop-off as far as tier for corners. Wheatley, this is before a drop-off for the safety class. I like the value on both, particularly to have 2 remaining third-round picks. And you jump right back in at 88 with the pick that gets me the most excited for this team, for the player, the fit overall, the value. A real riser in this. Again, somebody I could have called a my guy months ago, but consensus is really catching up. That's Clemson defensive tackle DeMonte Capehart. 6'5", 313. This is as good of a run defender on the interior as you're going to find in this class, and that's the biggest need. For the value here at 88, to get someone at a 9.97 RAS, I mean, this is nearly a 100 percentile athlete at the position. 33.5-inch vert. 4'8", 540, drop your jaw on the floor, and carrying nearly 34-inch arms at 33 7/8. This is a physical specimen of a man, and it translates to his game. Yes, is there going to be some development to continue, coming off of his 18 starts and then reserve work he's had at Clemson as far as rushing the passer? Yes. But there's no problem with that as far as your edge spots and some of those guys you have at the center. Brick. And that's what you're going to get. Really strong bull rush. Devastating. Stacking sheds very physically. This is a day one contributor. As far as a team fit for him league-wide and matching a need, this is as good as there is. This one jumped off the page at me leading into pick 100, where we went with Deontay Lawson, linebacker out of Alabama. I think Lawson is someone you know what you're getting. Built for zone coverage and space. 2024 All-SEC, 76 tackles in that season, 6.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks and an interception. This is a Nick Saban recruit who's played multiple years, stayed with the Kalen DeBauer regime. For a team that could just use legitimate snaps at the position day one and forward, particularly someone that can play in space. For the last pick of day 2, I thought this was nice before going into those more steadfast and cemented day 3 linebackers. Going into day 3 and pick 124, I just bragged about Capehart as this is the one that gets me the most excited, and this is the one that matches the need the best, and this is, as far as team and player, this is about as good as it gets. If I had to give the gold medal to Capehart, this silver medal tastes just about as sweet. In Jaeger Burton out of Kentucky, 23 starts at left guard, 15 at center, 9 at right guard. This is as versatile of an interior, as athletic of an interior, as pedigreed of an interior as there is in this draft. Dad played at Morehead State on the offensive line, tested at a 9.99. Pounds, hit 28 reps on the bench, a vertical of 30.5, 9.7 broad, run a sub 5 second 40. Got nearly 33-inch arms, 10-plus inch hands. Everything you could want for somebody who can play a center or a guard spot. Even if he isn't just that absolute certainty at one of them, he's going to find a spot immediately. Somebody gets hurt, he's the one you can throw over in that swing capability. No panic to him. You see that on the tape. You saw that at the Senior Bowl. This is an athletic, good feet, sound technically, a strengthy base anchor in Burton. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go even earlier than this. He has had as good a pre-draft process as you'll see. He's damn sure not going to go much lower than this. This is a really strong center class, particularly in that 1 through 7 or 8 at the top. Guys that really do have starting center ability projected into the NFL. This one was too good. This would be very well done. And then throwing it, and that's the crazy thing, you still got 5 picks at this point right now. That's assuming no trading up, no action beyond that. Cyrus Allen, wide receiver out of Cincinnati, can tell you from the Senior Bowl that was the best route runner there. That was the most effortless, technical, sharp route runner there, and I don't think many people would argue with me about it. 5'11", 180, 16.2 yards per catch, 22 touchdowns, over 2,000 career receiving yards. Production, technical ability, route running, enough size there, and versatility. Close to the line of scrimmage as far as his release patterns. Or you see that in the yards per catch, man. I mean, he has yak ability, but he also does run very, very, very good routes, as good as anyone in this class. That's an incredible value at 164, leading right into 166. When you look at Josh Hines Allen and then Trayvon Walker, beyond them and their star power at the edge spots, there needs to be another capable body with a size profile. Thought here Iowa's Maxwell Wells has a toolbox of pass rush moves. Predominantly a really nasty spin move. He does have quick feet. In the last 2 years, as far as his conversion rate and closing on the quarterback, 12 sacks and 481 pass rush snaps. Good numbers, some rawness to his complete game. You're betting on trades. You are looking to develop somebody. You're looking to take someone that can become a starter. And yes, with Josh Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker ahead of you, for this to be potentially your top lead backup there at the position, somebody who could be capable were there to be an injury, I loved that fit as well. At 203, and there's 3 picks remaining, Tyler Onyedem out at Texas A&M is as good as it gets at this spot. I think that pairing of Onyedem and Albert Regis as the Texas A&M defensive interior is as underrated a unit as we saw in college football this season. And I get it. There was a lot of mouths to feed as far as attention at Texas A&M. They sent 13 guys to the NFL Combine, Onyedem being one of them. 1,700 snaps in his career, 34 and 1/4 inch arms, an 11.7% stop rate at 6'3.5", 292. Size, production, projection, experience. And he's got some pass rush moves, man. And a violent first step for the Iowa State transfer coming into this program at Texas A&M and taking such a nice jump this year. This is somebody whose best football could be ahead of them. To add him as another interior and with the value to say you walked out with Cape, Hart, and Onyedem and got some youth in that room, that's big time. At 233, I think with Evan Ingram at this lead tight end spot and more of his motion, space, receiving upside, Jags need to add a big-time, real-time blocking tight end for 12 personnel and beyond. And in a class that does have nice depth of tight ends, I see a lot of tight end 2s and a lot of tight end 3s in this class. Will Kaczmarek out of Ohio State can block as well as he is one of the top 2 to 3 blocking tight ends in this entire class. To get him here at this point, the Ohio transfer to Ohio State, what he came in and what he got paid to do at Ohio State and did so. As far as his career receiving, about 700 to 800 receiving yards. And again, a lot of mouths to feed at Ohio State, but he already has known in this NIL era that he gets paid blocking and heavy tight end personnel. And that's what he's going to do here in this spot. To get that at a 7th round value was a good fit. And lastly, and it's been a lot of picks, We talked about some of the minor activity in free agency. Jags are coming on draft nights. At 245, went with Clemson linebacker Wade Woodaz, and this is with the intention of taking a swing on some special teams upside. Woodaz does have some missed tackles on tape to clean up and develop. Don't see him as a in-game linebacker, but to look at somebody at 6'3", 236 who can run a 4.46 and is a safety convert down to linebacker, I think there's a lot of special teams upside for a team with upwards of 10 picks to take a shot on him there at that point. When we tie it back here in summation, as far as looking at the needs we laid out, defensive line, corner, interior offensive line, linebacker, you hit every single one of those at these spots in response to people questioning your activity that you have had in free agency, for people questioning not sending your staff to the combine. They wouldn't be saying anything negative after this group for a contending Jaguars team ready to go for another run this next season.